G'day, citizens. Welcome to Inforunners. I'm Execute, joined today by Algared and Billionaire Ninjas. How are you gentlemen doing today?
Excellent.
Excellent.
Glad
So,
to hear.
so we had Billing on a show a little earlier, and we talked about doing Fix My Fleet, and well, this is it. I think that kind of summarizes that. Thanks for coming to the show. Bye now. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through Billing's fleet. It's going to be a little different from normal. We're not going to really have a fleet that Algren and I kind of recommend he change it to. We're just going to talk about the individual ships because, well, Billing, you can talk about this in a minute, but you've watched a lot of our shows, right? So me and Algren just look at it and go, you can tell he's watched our stuff because there's very few things that me and Algred would change. So this is going to be a little bit of a, I think Algred put it as a tune my fleet rather than a fix my fleet. And I think that kind of covers it. So yeah, it will be a little different from what we normally do, but also it's cool to see a content creator's fleet so you can kind of feel confident in your own fleets. So that's why we've tried to do ones like this anyway. So
it is always nice to see how content creators are thinking about when they're building their fleets, why they built their fleets a certain way they've gone, and but yeah, so, and that's why it's a tune my fleet, not a help me work out what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah, and I think you were saying, Billing, you've watched all of our, how insane are you? You've watched all our Fix My Fleets. You're okay. Do you need some help? You have a problem.
I have a lot of free time. Yeah, I've actually your channel was actually one of the ones that got me into content creation. So yeah, I watched the first video of yours.
We're sorry.
Yeah,
we're sorry.
You brought me into this.
We can't control him. He's doing it all on his own. It's not us. It's not us.
Yeah, the first video I ever saw from the Inforunners was a Fix My Fleet, and that's what actually got me onto the channel. And so I watched all of them. I actually happened to be on leave. I was actually in law school at the time, and I was on my summer break, and so I just had time. Yeah, I was doing an internship, but in between that, I had time, and so I was just like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna watch all of these.
Were you studying on your summer break, and they were kind of like where you played in the back? We hear that a lot. People, like, we've heard really weird things, and to me and Algared, they seem batshit insane. Like people that like have said to us, I go to work every day, and I just put on the Fix My Fleet playlist, and I just listen to it over and over on repeat. And I'm like, are you insane? Like
no. The ones of yours that I listen to, like if I'm driving to work or something, are the longer ones, the live videos where you're just discussing things and talking and answering questions and stuff. Because those are the ones where like you say things and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that. It's like little tidbits of information that I get that I'm like, oh, that was interesting. Yeah.
You better hope me and Algared never get made American citizens because they'll insert that. You know the thing from The Simpsons where they said join the Navy in the subtext, in the subliminal messaging in every Fix My Fleet. No. But yeah, all right, well, let's cut it over to the fleet now, and what we're going to do a little differently on this one is normally we let the people talk about their fleet and then we go back and kind of criticize and critique. Because there's far less to kind of go over this time, we're going to kind of go through every ship one by one, and we'll kind of look back over that. Now, the professions that you gave us as your top three, we'll just go through that so the audience can follow along, was science, base building, and trading. And I think the other part you kind of want to elaborate on to us is you started with those,
and you kind of expanded
into other stuff.
Yes.
Is that how you would?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the ones that are outside that purview, totally fine.
So,
right. Yeah. Go
here.
Yeah. Go for it, mate. Tell us.
Yeah, the Pioneer, obviously the largest base building ship at the right now. I actually had a Galaxy until this most recent IAE, and then I finally was able to win the F5 war and get one. And now I still have a Galaxy, but it's for a different purpose that we'll talk about once we get to that.
I was like, I swear I saw a Galaxy earlier. What is he talking about? Yeah.
So I only had a Galaxy, and now I have this, and so this will be my construction ship. The Galaxy will have a different purpose. But yeah, this is out of the three ships that are never melt. I'm gonna keep regardless. This is one of those ships because base building I think is gonna be one of the most interesting things to do in Star Citizen. So I'm super looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Well, based on our usual approach of go big and then work down, biggest base building ship. Yeah.
No, I can't say anything wrong with it personally. Like if it's in your top three, it's pretty important to you. So yeah, no problem there. All right, Banner mentioned, man. I think this also kind of falls under the top three. So for the same reasons, I'm assuming.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So I thought long and hard about whether I wanted a Kraken privateer or a Banu merchantman, and I just thought the Banu merchantman would be more interesting to walk around. It would be more interesting of a ship to be on, and also it would be less of a headache as far as getting crew to run it. Not much less of a headache, but slightly less of a headache, I felt like. And also it fit what I wanted to do more, like land on planets and sell. I didn't really need a whole lot of people like landing on my ship and, you know, me being out in space and people coming to me so much as I would be going to land on planets. And also I have this idea where I'm gonna like build outposts and then transport stuff from outpost to outpost and sell while I'm, you know, all doing that, you know, every time I stop. So it's really important that I can land fairly easy and sell directly from the ship. And yeah, I love the way the Banu merchantman looks. I love, you know, the guns on it. I love the interior of it. I mean, what we know of the interior of it. So yeah, it was a hard choice because I love the Kraken too. But it wasn't that hard when I looked at my wallet. So I was like, all right, yeah, Banu merchantman also solves the money problem. So yeah.
Your thoughts on it?
I do like the Banu merchantman. I like the fact that it does have big guns, so people who do like that type of thing have that. But it's got the shops. It is. I think the luxury on it is more Trumpian than luxury, as in other stuff that's gold plated. It's kind of that mercantile type approach, but it does tick those bills, and it's basically the same reason I've got mine.
Yep, mine too. As for the Kraken stuff, we'll be coming back to that. The Orion. Yeah, I think you can tell us. This is pretty obvious, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was thinking the reason I got the Orion is purely money based, but I do like mining. But it was mostly I was like, well, I'm gonna need to fund all of this other stuff. I need to fund my science, my exploration, you know, stuff to do with that. I need to fund my base building. I need to have materials to build with. And I need to have things to sell. And so I was like, I can, you know, fund the entire operation through a massive mining operation. And this was one of the first ships that I actually got off of a recommendation from your videos of which ships are going to make the most money in the game. And I was like, the Orion just seems like it's going to do that. And I happened to get one when it was, I think, $250 or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
$235. I think it was. I'd have to go double check. I think it was $235.
It was really cheap.
Yeah,
I got it for
by today's standards. Yeah.
Standards. Anything you get at the original price. Big ships.
I'll pass this to Algared, but Algared, I'd still say this is the number one money earner in the game, just for size and independence because of all the features it has. I don't think anything else comes quite close to this yet.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Like I can remember when CIG brought out the Genesis Starliner, one of the reasons for its price being so high was the fact that they saw out the gate being able to just make money. You didn't have to go and mine or do anything. It was just load up and go. But they jacked up the price for that. Whereas this was dirt cheap to start with, and it's now blown up in terms of price. And I think, if you've got one, and you've certainly got one at the original price, you're golden.
They did say that across the board too. Ships were going to get more expensive over time, and we are seeing that now. They are all starting to jump up. Right.
Yeah.
The Polaris. Not too long for this beauty to wait now. Billy, what was your moves on this one for?
So this one came down to the fact that when I looked at my fleet, I had no combat ships, really. I didn't really have anything that could go pew-pew. And I was like, at some point, I'm going to have to fight, or somebody's going to make me angry, and I'm going to need to go and fight them. And so I was like, well, what's the best ship for that? And so I started going down my list of ships that I want to own, but, you know, the list got shorter and shorter as I started thinking about larger ships. So I didn't want to do an Idris. I thought it was a little bit too big for what I would want to use it for, even though I know I would bring people with me. But I was like, I'll probably bring 8 people with me, not 20 or 30. So I can get 8 people pretty normally. I could probably even get slightly more than that. And I was like, so the Polaris just makes sense. And what I would use it for really is to go out, whoever made me angry, take care of them, and then I'm going back to base. I'm not really doing military missions in it so much, but I also like the fact that I don't immediately have to go back to base. I can stay out and do some things, some other things with it. You know, if I put a different ship in the hangar or something like that.
Now what I'm hearing, Algared, is that you wouldn't like him when he's angry. That's what I just heard.
Don't like me. He becomes green.
Yeah. Algared, I was going to say, like, me and you always have looked at the ship really interestingly as it's got such a support element that is just overlooked by look, I'm not going to say everyone does, but it's overlooked by so many. Yeah, just the ability of that hangar to cycle fighters or terrapins, or it just adds an utility to it. That there's just a strength that other combat ships lack. Yeah.
I think you're right. It is, as Serge has often said, the smallest capital ship.
Yeah. Which will probably most likely make it most popular, yeah?
Yeah, it does have the ability to support a fighter. I think it's got the brig, I think it's got the armory, it's got all those things. It's got the torpedoes, it's got the mid bay. It's a combat version in a sense. I kind of said it's a combat version of a Carrack. The Carrack's kind of the exploration ship with all bells and whistles. This is the combat ship with all the bells and whistles. Your comment on the Idris, though, surprised me, because the Idris, you said I could take 8 people with me, but not 20 or 30. But the Idris minimum crew is 8. So if you had an Idris, which gives you widens it out, you could actually look at both options.
I think what you're talking about there, Algared, is just overall the crew numbers have come down on a lot, especially a lot of the bigger ships anyway. So yeah.
And then you look at the K-pack on the Idris, and that actually automates some of those turrets, which makes them, again, it helps reduce that crew count. So
we'll come back to those bigger ships, Algared.
Yeah,
we'll come back to those.
We'll keep going.
Yeah. Okay, clearly he's joined the cult. Yes, three endeavors. That's more than me, by the way. I've got one. So obviously you didn't like the master set and went this way instead.
Yes, this actually came from, also, this is another choice that I made based off your advice, just watching all the Fix My Fleets. So I didn't go with the master set, but I know that there's at least 3 of them that I for sure want. And I was like, I'm not buying more than 3. So if I need something else, then I'll get that in game. But yeah, I definitely, of course, I said science. This is going to be my primary science ship. And then I want the farming stuff, because I feel like I'm going to need to grow things to use in my labs and stuff like that. Maybe keep animals in there because I might need their tusks or their horns or whatever. And then I want, and I'm still kind of iffy on whether I want the super collider because I'm not quite sure what that's going to be, or the telescope. But I'm leaning towards Super Collider right now, so we'll see what that ends up being.
Yeah, I haven't actually kind of sat down with Algared and we've done the numbers on how many you would need to a maximum, but I've often thought 2 would be more than enough, because say for example you are using one, the other one can be in the shop being changed to the next one you're going to need, and then you take that and then put the one you're using back in to be swapped again. You see what I mean? So you've always got
I thought about that.
Yeah, rotation.
I thought about that. So I'm glad you brought that up. Because one of them requires that I'm going to put animals and plants in it. Yeah. I want that one to be left alone.
Okay.
And so that one I kind of always want available. Yeah. Whereas the other 2, I think I could kind of swap out. And that's exactly why I did that. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
And if you look at the master set, I think if all the components in, you've got enough for 3.5. Idrises if you're trying to use all the components. But some of the components are things you probably wouldn't use, but the super colliders, generally the idea of that is for upgrading and tweaking components and overclocking them. That's all we know about that so far.
Right.
Their telescope does lean more into the science aspect. So
I think the last thing I would talk about is we obviously know that we've got the Sen and this, so there's clearly room for 2 more science ships. I would, if one of those take your fancy, or both, I'd probably consider cannibalizing one of those and turning this into the 2 others. But again, they may or may not be for you. And again, you've also got the endowment economy, but I'm just putting that into your thoughts to think about that. That's all. I don't know how that's going to pan out because we don't know what the ships are yet, do we?
Right.
So,
And we don't know what the price of those ships will be.
Exactly. And again, look at what happened to the Eurastra. Same price as the Orion. And if you think about it, when they were both introduced, almost twice the price of the original price of the Orion. So
yeah.
Right, the Perseus. I'm assuming this is similar things to the Polaris, as in more combat.
Yes. So if I can't get my 8 people together, then I would probably take the Perseus out. The Perseus is this is one I have to admit that I kind of went a little bit off my track with this one. The Perseus is just a ship I genuinely like. I like a lot of things about the Perseus. But I also knew that I couldn't buy it until I had everything else that I wanted. So like this was like a recent purchase where I was like, if I'm going to buy a ship because it's cool and because I like it, I can find a purpose for everything, right? But my primary reason for buying the Perseus was I really like what the Perseus is about. But I was like, it's also going to be cheaper, I think, to take out than the Perseus. I think I can, if I do want to do some type of military engagement or something, maybe Xenothreat or something, when I'm going out and I'm doing like missions with other people that are just for fun, I think I would like to take the Perseus out. And that's going to be the ship I have fun with other people where, you know, maybe I'm streaming or something, or maybe I'm, you know, just out having fun. And when I show people the game, because I do plan on bringing people to the game once it actually, you know, gets a little further along, this is, I think, one of the ships I'll take out and be like, look at what this one can do, you know.
So two things there. The first one is often the size of the ship you're going to take out is not just going to be crew related, but the threat that you're facing. And then as on a purchasing decision, both me and Algared, we didn't, well, I'll let you tell him, Algared.
Yeah, well, we didn't buy the ship at cost. I CC'd to mine. I looked at it and went, no, I'm not paying $600.
It's not worth that.
I had CCUs in my hangar ready, and I just went, yeah, I'll do that, and do that. And I ended up paying all up, I think, $300 or $295 or $395. I can't remember which.
And that's roughly what I got
mine at.
That's roughly what
I got mine at $340.
There you go. Yeah. So we all roughly did the same thing. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because realistically, you put this up against Caterpillars, Starfarers, it's roughly the same size, and they're around the 300, you know, just above the $300 mark.
Right.
This is a $600 ship masquerading. Like I blame myself a lot for the hype on SC Leaks when I was there, because this is the shit that we talked about a shit ton that year, and the hype was just through the roof for this thing. And I will freely admit it does look very cool as a ship, and the rule of cool obviously does play a factor, but obviously being a combat ship, that also puts the price up. It also punches up. The best combat ships are the ships that punch up, and we're going to come back to another ship that you don't have, that I put down when you talked about the Polaris, and you just confirmed it with the way you talked about this ship that you need to add to your fleet. Well, I think you need to add to your fleet. All right.
Okay.
Galaxy.
Okay. I did want to add.
Sure.
So I didn't pay full price for any ship that's on this list. Every ship I have, I have like I got massive discounts on through playing the CCU game. So
Cool. Yeah, and we had nothing to do with that. You can't blame us, right? What you own to me? It's not our fault. Yeah. Right, the Galaxy.
So the Galaxy. So I realized that I actually have an interest in medical. I just don't want it to be my primary gameplay, but I do see myself like taking long, you know, trips where I'm like, I'm just going to go out and do some medical stuff because I'm really interested in how they're going to do medical gameplay. I have no idea how it's going to work, but I have this super cool interest of like, what am I going to do? Like, what is it going to be like to be a doctor in the verse? And
well, now you've got 3 options for that. You've now got those 3.
Yeah.
So you've got you just need the only one you're missing actually in your entire list is the Pisces C8R and the Cutlass Red, and you would have every medical ship. Anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
And vehicle.
Yeah, and vehicle, because he's got the Nurser as well. So,
and one of the reasons I picked the Galaxy was because I was like, I also thought I can use the construction thing on this when taking out the Pioneer would be way too big of a hassle. I would need more crew. It just wouldn't make sense to move it from wherever it is, because I can imagine I have a project going on somewhere and maybe I need to leave and start another project, but not necessarily finished with the last one, and I can see changing the unit out for this.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what refinery gameplay is going to look like. I don't see myself using that much, and I also don't see.
I do, and I'll tell you why, and I think Algared will agree with me on this. This ship actually connects to other ships you already have. So let's look at, and we've talked about most of them already, right? So you've got the Orion that will give you extra refining capabilities. You've got the base building and a backup base builder, so you can be building two, like the base, they can be building the smaller ones, and this is building the bigger ones, and you're doing it together, so you're speeding up your base building process. And then also obviously cargo bringing supplies back to either of these two ships.
Yep.
And the medical, as you said, it also backs up the Endeavour and its medical. This is your Swiss Army knife swap to where I need extra help ship. Yep. That's where I see that for you. And ironically, it hits every single one.
And when you look at the refining aspect, it really does dovetail with your Orion. It enhances the produce that the Orion's producing, so you're getting higher grade stuff, so you could sell that off. But the other aspect is the ores that have been refined and stuff are stuff you'll be able to use in your base building.
Yeah.
So you actually can reduce the cost of base building by providing your own. So the refinery stuff actually becomes really important for the types of things that you said you want to do
So the reason I thought that wasn't going to be the case is because I thought the Orion had a refinery on it. If I'm not mistaken, it does. And that's the only reason I said I might not be using it on this one.
And this is what we don't know, right? Is I start, and me and Algared have talked about this quite a bit, is the Starfarer has an Expanse level refinery, but it only has 3 of them, not the 6 that the Expanse does. So, and if you think about it, that's because it's such a big ship and it can't move with, it's out doing stuff and it's probably out further. If it gets Quantanium, it puts itself at risk. So it's got to be able to remove that Quantanium so it doesn't explode, right? So my thought process is, what if it's not, again, but then the Arastra came out and it totally changed my mind on that, because the Arastra literally had 2 large refineries just like this does. So if it's too large on the Arastra, then is it 1 massive one or 1 capital one on the Orion, or is it 2 or 3? We don't know, right? So now there's a lot up in the air around that. But again, we'll wait and see. But I think at the very least, you would both agree with me, it has to at least be Starfarer level just to get rid of the Quantanium explodey thing. And if it's but I think seeing the Arastra, it's got to be at least equal or matching the Arastra now.
Yeah, I would agree. And that's part of the reason I have the Galaxy, is I saw all of the units for it, and I'm like, the only one I know for sure I won't use is the cargo one. But all of the rest of them, I'm like, I mean, just having those at my fingertips and knowing I don't have to go buy a whole other ship, and I could just, take this to the shipyard. Yeah, I think is why I thought it was a really good ship. This was one of the ships where when they announced it, I was genuinely excited. I don't get super excited about ships anymore. There's only like maybe 3 ships in the past 5 years that have like made me be like, oh wow, that one's awesome. This was one of them.
He needs to go look at the ship scrutinies for the Caterpillar, doesn't he? Yeah, you might want to go do some deep dive in the Caterpillar, mate. Because if you're excited about this, they are literally equal to each other.
If you look at the cargo capacity of that with its cargo pod, it is exactly the same as a Caterpillar's cargo capacity, and the Caterpillar was supposed to be modular. So
we think they've realised that there's too many modules for the Caterpillar, and they spun some of them off onto this, and that's what's happened. And they cherry picked the ones they want for, like, so the base building and the medical and the refining, because they're the new ones they want to make, which allows them to push the Caterpillar back further. So
And I'm glad you mentioned the Caterpillar, because that is a ship that's kind of been in and out of my fleet. And you actually mentioned it. I think we were talking about the Ironclad on the Ironclad episode. You were talking about how we really need to know what the modules are for the Caterpillar. And I think that's the only thing holding me back from having a Caterpillar in the fleet.
At least hold
once I know a little bit more.
At least hold a CCU then, or an up. I'm gonna call them upgrades now.
Well, upgrades. When we get to some of the smaller ships, that's kind of my thought process.
Well, we're starting to get into the territory now, because this is going to be the first one I'm going to rebuttal you on. So tell me your thought press on this one.
It's the garage. The garage was the biggest thing, the biggest reason I bought this. You've seen I have like some of the smaller ships, but also I don't know what the capabilities of the garage is going to be. But I do have an out for this one because it was a Liberator. So I have plenty of reason to have a Liberator because of what it can carry and what it can move. But I thought I'm going to be building outposts. I'm going to have vehicles and stuff moving around, putting stuff together. And I was like, I would love to have a mobile garage, a ship I could just bring, sit down, and then I can take parts in there. This can craft components too.
Yes.
So maybe smaller components. So I don't have my big ship crafting these tiny components and stuff. Yep. And then I can also craft tools for people who are working. And that I saw this synergy of it working with my construction ship because it has a garage in it. And that's kind of the main reason. Because I was really, I did some ironclad videos and I was like really like, oh, do I get the ironclad or do I get the assault? And the assault had that garage, and that's what kind of tipped me over. Finding out that the top opens up was, I think, the last thing that kind of tipped it over too.
Damn you and your logical thinking process. Okay, I'm not going to rebuttal you because that actually does make a lot of sense. I was going to say, why didn't you get the normal ironclad? Because you told us trading. So I can now see your thought process, but I'm going to honestly say to you, you should probably consider getting the normal ironclad as well, especially if you ever want to look into piracy and stuff, because that default ironclad, it is just screaming piracy like crazy to a lot of people.
It's screaming, knock out the small ship and swallow it up whole and take it away. Yeah.
But say you did pick up a caterpillar, your exit strategy could be into an ironclad as well, if it doesn't pan out for you, which is what mine is now. I didn't have an exit strategy for my cat. I was just going to turn it into something else, but now and not know what it was going to be. But now, most definitely, I picked up an ironclad CC. I didn't even pick up an assault one, but now you actually lay it out. What this essentially becomes, and you guys can correct me if I think I'm wrong here, but I almost see this as like a maintenance vehicle for the smaller vehicles like the MCV and the tray thing, whatever that's going to turn out to be called, to repair them. They bring it in here, they can get supplies, they can repair in here and go out again. So this is the, what do you call it? Material construction delivery vehicle for the base building ships that you have. So it can also bring the cargo, but also when it needs to do, like if they need a part, it can make it. But not only that, like a small part that saves time again for the Galaxy not doing it or the Pioneer not doing it because they're working on bigger projects. So say you just need something small like a lamppost or whatever the hell it's going to be, you know what I mean? So I can see that process. That actually makes a lot of sense. And so I'm not going to, as I said, I'm not going to rebuttal you as much as I said. But Algared, your thoughts?
My thought is based on the idea of one in the garage is why not the Crucible, which is a cheaper ship to own, which basically is the flying garage.
And I thought about that as well. I'm so glad you mentioned that.
And I know the Crucible is there, but
yeah.
So Algared, you're saying it's a double up essentially, is what Algared's saying. Yeah.
So
which in that case would lend to getting the other ironclad. But I see where you're going and I see what you're thinking. And I like the logic, but
Algared's right too. Both work. They really do. Especially with the Scarab, it's also got cargo carrying capacity. It lands, it's got a ramp. I think the only thing that this would probably give you over the Crucible is it also gives you some defense from the turrets. That's
exactly where I was going. I don't know what the guns are going to be on the Crucible yet.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if they're going to finalize those or what, but it was the defensive, because I'm going to be on a base. I'll have people with me, but I wanted a ship that could actually defend, and I could also keep a tank on there. I can keep something on there as well as, work through the garage and everything, and not like completely take up my garage. And it was more a defensive strategy thing.
I would say this is a little bit front or bottom heavy defense wise. It doesn't really have the protect from the ground thing, but again, if it was on security, so to speak, maybe it can fabricate some turrets to put up as well to extent, like it could be doing that while the others are working. But again, we have to wait and see just what that fabrication is.
That internal turret, the one that while you're working on stuff, you got somebody protecting it.
But you know what I mean? Like, we don't know what the capacity of the fabrication ability of this ship is. And if it's so low that it takes it like 50 minutes to set up one turret or build a turret, then that just throws it out of the room of being even useful.
And then I go up to the Liberator, right?
Yeah, well, again, it just depends.
And part of my thinking here is just the price. The price of the Assault at 535 versus the price of the Crucible at 350.
Yeah.
Right.
Actually, I think you've kind of nailed it there, Algared. You could actually also just have Ironclad, and your exit strategy is this, and then if this doesn't work out, so neither Ironclad works out, your exit strategy is Liberator, as you said before. So I would have had a CCU to the Ironclad and then an upgrade, to this. That's how I would have done it, but yeah, I think sorry, I was just thinking as you were saying it, Algared.
No, that makes total sense. I actually have some smaller ships that I'm not completely married to that I was like, if this doesn't work out, I have an exit strategy for this going to the Liberator and then a smaller ship going to their base Ironclad.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. Me and Algared are about to get to that, aren't we, Algared? Those smaller ships.
And just again going to the Crucible, and I know we're going to get to it, but the Scarab on the Crucible is no slouch. It can take it's big enough for a Hornet. But I think you worked out it can take 2 or 3 Nova tanks easily just because of the spacing.
Six.
Yeah, I was deliberately undervaluing.
Yeah, which is actually the same as what this can carry, ironically. The other part of it too is the Carib can actually be taken off, and it has batteries and components, so it can work independently for a time. So you can technically be working on a ship and on vehicles at the same time. And if you think about it, if you landed the Scarab on the ground, I'm not saying they have confirmed this, but they've talked about power generators and stuff. Why couldn't you have a power generator on the ground that's connected potentially? Again, this is speculating here, but then connect that to Scarab, and then it actually permanently powers the Scarab. Here I'm going. So then you could permanently run 2. Which would
put your garage next to your building site where the vehicle's needing that update and repair. Yeah. So that's where my thinking goes on that. But again, I also see what your reasoning is, and as you were saying, there's not much to really rebuttal on that thinking. And
I think
it makes sense.
The one thing I'd add to what Algared said is we know that there are arms on the Crucible, so more than likely it's got better fabricating abilities than this does. So this is probably the middle ground between the two, so to speak, and the Crucible's more towards the repair side, but we also know because of the repair arms, that's the big difference. It can make new parts, where at the moment it appears to be like the repair tools, as an example, they can only add to things. If the entire thing is kind of destroyed, they can't create, where the Crucible can create. So
is at least from what we understand. So
and I imagine this is probably the same. It can either only create small things, like almost like a 3D printer or something, kind of like what they talked about in the Carrack. But with the actual 3D printing arms, well, think about it as a 3D printer. The bigger the 3D printer, the bigger the part it can print, right? So I can print a wing with the Crucible because it's that big, but this can only print like a wheel, or you know what I mean?
Right.
And a vehicle is technically smaller than a ship, if you get my drift. But you get where I'm going with it, right? We don't quite know, but again, they use 3D printer. I'm looking at 3D printers. I know how 3D printers work. The bigger they are, the bigger the part. It's just that simple. So
how many 3D printers do you have now?
I've gone through 4, but I only have 2. So I kind of like when I buy the new one, I sell the old one type of thing. So
just emphasize he's not talking BS when he says 3D printers.
No, I get it.
Constantly X is going through 3D printers and so.
I'm trying to get Algared. Well, Algared paints heaps of miniatures, so I've been trying to get him to get one because I can just send him the files and he can print it out, and then he can, instead of buying all these hundreds of dollars of miniatures, he can just print them out and save himself a bunch of cash and buy more spaceships. The Nautilus. Your thoughts on this one?
So this one's actually interesting too. This one, I actually got the idea from Seer the Sixth. I watched your Fix My Fleet a long time ago with him, and I really loved his idea of like trying in some way to kind of blockade off areas, whether it's for my mining operation, just knowing that a lot of other people didn't buy the Nautilus and they won't be able to mine sweep. I think that was like a big deal for me, like talking to people and like nobody having this in their fleet, and I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome, because people are going to roll up on these and they're going to say, oh, well, it just mines in space, like I'll go around. But I don't think it's going to be that easy. I just don't think CIG is going to leave the gameplay that easy. But at the same time, the reason for it is, you know, to cover my space, whether I'm doing, you know, I want to cover the above area to keep A2s out of the space above my base, whether it's I'm in doing a mining operation, salvage operation with the reclaimer, whatever it is, just being able to have some protection that's just static, while I also, obviously I'm going to pay people to protect me as well. But I think just having like a whole like flank that's covered by mines, and then they don't even have to patrol that area as much. I just think that would be really cool.
Yeah. Algared?
Yeah. No, it's pretty much the reasoning I think we've had in the past. You know, this is the thing that makes and breaks the Nautilus is going to be the mines.
Yep.
And the size of the mines and what we can put in.
Yep.
But the idea of being able to lay them out, refurbish them, and even go to someone else's minefield and decommission, you know, break them down and take them away, is another bonus of this ship. So the fact that you can mine sweep as well as lay mines with this, I think, makes it a ship that most people should have. It helps you set up defences. It helps you set up a static defence that gives you that warning that something's coming, as opposed to suddenly finding you're getting the warning because you're getting blasted into your hull.
Yeah.
So
yeah, better to lose a mine than lose a building or a ship or something like that. I can't agree more. I think just to add on top of what Algared said there, you know, other advantages is you can place the minefield and go into a more powerful ship. So it really is, as Algared said, it's about the mines, and not only that, you've also got sentry turrets as well, which you know, and besides the turrets that we now know that are coming on. Me and Algared speculated about these for years, like shields, because we were like, A2 means there's got to be shields, so the physical bombs can penetrate the shields, but shots cannot. So that's the weakness. You go above and drop a bomb through the shield to detonate it, but you want to try and take it out before it gets there. You can already see that gameplay. So we were like, there's got to be turrets, and as you've seen now, even the latest ISC had missile turrets. So we've now got gun turrets, missile turrets. They've talked about power generations. We now know that they've got components. Essentially, they've taken everything out of the ship and put it on the ground. And that's what me and Algared long speculated, and it's all come to pass. So besides this, we only ever have base defenses. So that makes this incredibly powerful, because this is essentially, and I'm hesitant to say this, but I'll put it in a way that you guys will understand why I'm saying this. This is a space construction defense vehicle, in a way. If you think about it, right? Because it's not building the mines, but it's at least placing them in rapid succession. So it isn't technically building them, but it's akin to that, yeah? If you can base build turrets and stuff like that, this is deploying them. Does that mean I can use my base to build mines and then use this to deploy it? You get where I'm going, right?
Yeah, and down the track, I can't see a reason why you wouldn't. I know originally CIG used to say you can build components or parts of the thing, but we wouldn't be able to build the end product. But I think that aspect is shifting more.
That's what I hope. I hope when they finally build this, they retroactively change it so it can build the mines. That would be bananas, because that would put this on another level. Because then if you think about it, right now, technically, they've even said, Algared, you remember how they said you could get a ship and deploy, any ship can deploy a mine.
Yep.
This will just do it faster. And I don't think that's enough anymore. But if this can build and deploy him, that is sick.
The one thing they did talk about, certainly with other ships, they said other ships with the drone could deploy or deactivate the mines and even pull them into the hangar. But this was the only ship that had safe storage of those mines.
That's right.
But I'm still not sure that, as you said, I'm still not sure that's going to be enough of a...
Yeah, well, just quickly and deploying them and picking them up quicker than others. I can see the deploying part, but picking them up is generally after a fight and you've got all the time in the world. Who gives a shit? And you just throw more people at the problem. Because look at this. I can't even remember how many crew this has got, right? But again, surely it's got to be quicker to send 4 cutters out and pick up 4 mines than a full crew. You get where I'm going with that, right? If it's only, it also
6.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, right? The number of people in it is also a factor, and I'd rather lose 4 cutters than lose this. You see where I'm going? So there is the term is diminishing returns. So yeah,
yes.
I think it needs a bit of a buff. When we reviewed this, our biggest issue was the mines because they were only really big enough to take out fighters. And a really simple way to judge a ship is how well it takes itself out. Now, yes, it does have those 2-size guns, 2-size 7s. But now, this was the first ship with 2-size 7s. The Perseus is half the size of this thing. And literally, well, it's not half, it's a little bigger, a little smaller. But you get my point, right? It's got twice as many guns and half the people.
And actually, the minimum crew for this, because I've just looked it up, is 4, and the maximum is 8.
Oh, okay. Well, then it's in the same ballpark.
Oh,
as
so
the
it's and given the Perseus is 6 and 6, it's actually a little lower, a little higher. So it's in the same ballpark.
So it's essentially swapping the turret for mines, essentially.
Yep.
Yeah. That's on par. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
But again, the point stands is if you ignore the guns, right, and just look at the mines, its own mines can't really take itself out. Because again, as they were described, right, if they change that and there's a build-up effect, then yeah, maybe its own mines can take itself out. But from memory, Algared, it only has 8 mines. 4 and then 4. 4 top and 4 bottom from my memory. Do you want to double check that on me? Because this has been
we have not had 16. I might be wrong.
Yeah, we haven't looked this up in a long time. It's been a couple of years. But again, even with the size that they are probably not going to kill this ship. That they are, and that's one of the other thing we speculate as well is much like the bombs from the A2. Can the mines just because they're physicalized? That we're thinking that might be the difference between missiles and torpedoes, right? So torpedoes are more physical and slower, so they can just pass through shields. But missiles get detected and they're stopped by shields because they're faster. If you ever seen Stargate, do you remember how they had the thing with the so all the high-tech Gould guns got stopped by shields, but the ballistics of the humans' guns were slower, so they actually were able to pass through the shields. There was an entire episode where Thor, one of the Asgard came and got the humans just for that purpose, and got a whole bunch of their guns just for that. And that's where I start to where that idea came from. But we haven't. Again, this is all speculation, but.
I was just having a quick look to see if I could find the brochure for this, and I couldn't find it because the other things don't actually tell me how many mines it carried. But I do recall they were it had the 4 for 4 launches. Yeah,
but regardless, the thing is that still stands back from when we reviewed this, and that's what I'm going from, is that we looked across it at the gun sizes of the turrets, the deployable turrets and the mines, and it just struggled to take itself out if you ignored these guns. Because yes, you could eventually take it out with these guns, but that would take a long time, not as quick as you would want it to be.
Right.
So we'll see. But everything you said about defense, it really is a defense ship, and that's the difference between it and everything else. By the way, that's why I've got one. But everything you stated is why I've got one, because it's just there's nothing else like it. It is 100% unique. It's the one defense ship in the entire game. There isn't anything.
And I'm thinking that the armor on this is going to be very hefty. But considering it's built from the ground up as a defensive ship, I'm thinking it's going to be one of the toughest ships in the game to take down.
Yeah, I often.
So you might just outlast people with those. You know, you have the smaller weapons, but you might outlast them just because you have the sheer.
Well, it's size 7s too. Yeah. We always kind of saw this as like a spider sitting inside a mine web, and she's shooting out with this. Right, she's just sitting in the middle of a minefield, going, "Get off my little baby mines!" Right, because these shoot really far at size 7. And again, as you said, she can sit,
or even just shooting. You can even imagine a ship shooting from range and then drawing people into that minefield.
Same thing again. Yeah, absolutely.
Same thing again.
Come get me, bitch.
There's the nickname for my ship.
Yeah.
So
I might call mine the Redback or something like that. We'll see. I'll come up with something cool.
The Black Widow.
Black Widow is good. Yeah.
We don't dispute the value of this ship and the reasons you've got. You've obviously watched too much of our shows and listened to us talk too much. That's
all right.
It'll get interesting once we get to these smaller ships. It'll get real interesting real quick.
It's about to get we're about to get into the ones where it's about to get real. All right, so the Odyssey, obviously Explorer, top of the exploring tree. Is that where this one was going?
Yeah, so I figured Once I heard actually Todd Pappy talk about the fact that you need blueprints in order to build certain things, I was like, oh, so I need like a legitimate explorer ship to go out, find these blueprints and bring them in so I could be able to build things that are unique for people, because I can imagine he who has the most blueprints gets the most contracts, right? And so
it's 100% something we speculated on for base building. It was like, well, what are you going to rep going for base building? And it became obvious really quickly. You've got to get the plans for buildings.
Right.
Yeah.
And I had a Carrack. I was gonna keep the Carrack, and then
it killed it. They actually managed to kill one.
What was his name? I'm forgetting his name now, but he came
Jones.
on. He said
Paul
this
Jones.
is the Carrack.
Paul Jones.
Yes, Paul Jones. Paul Jones. Paul Jones is awesome. He was actually one of my favorite devs, and I of course, I get an opportunity to say his name and I forget it. But yeah, he said it was the Carrack killer, and I was like, is it? And I didn't quite believe him, but I had just enough faith in Paul Jones to say, if he said that, I should seriously consider it. Not he's telling the truth, but maybe I should consider it. And so I really looked at it. I loved that it had the hangar, and that's what really clicked for me. I always thought that the Carrack hangar was too small. If it was bigger, I would have a Carrack.
Well, this
but because it's smaller.
This is a Corvette like the Polaris, and it's the utility version of the Polaris. And also, Algared and I never really had a problem with this ship. The biggest problem we had with it was how it was sold. And
the marketing.
Algared's got a whole spiel. Right, here he goes. Right, speech. Yeah. This is like his sixth time. Go again, Algared. Just pull out the bit of paper and read
I've probably
it again.
forgotten the spiel. But we always expected this ship was the planetary survey ship. It's not the deep space survey ship like the Carrack. The Carrack and the Odyssey run parallel to each other. They don't compete with each other. So it was never a Carrack killer because the roles were different. It's a bigger ship than the Carrack, so in that sense, if you're after the biggest, it is a Carrack killer in that sense. The thing I really like about the hangar in this ship, though, is the fact that the hangar, the garage, and the cargo bay are all linked together. So you can literally drive a vehicle from a cargo into the hangar, from a hangar out, and that makes that totally unique. But I don't think any other ships really got that in terms of its hangar, cargo bays, storage.
Very well designed.
So it's a really good design in that sense. But this was for ground survey. The fact that it's got the mining tool, the fact that it's got the scanner seemed to be pointing downwards, to us just seemed to be really for planetary survey. It goes in after everything's been done, goes through and searches the planets, finds those key deposits, does the ore sampling, sells it off. Whereas the Carrack is more geared for jump point surveys, deep space survey, and all the rest of it. And so I think they both do science, but they do different aspects of that science and research.
He means exploring. He's having a senior moment. It's fine.
No, I get what he said.
He said science.
Yeah.
You mean
science is exploration?
Well, they do. It's some science involved. Yeah.
All right.
But you're speaking to exactly why I wanted this over the Carrack, because I don't need the jump point mapping as much as I would need the surveying for the science stuff that I'm going to do. And one thing that I did notice.
I was going to say, also it allows you to find base locations to build bases.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But one thing I will say, so I did this Carrack versus Odyssey video, but I do believe that it's, as you said, Algared, where they're meant to go together, not against each other.
Yeah.
But one thing that I kept saying in that video was this can go further than the Carrack. And people were saying no, it can't, because the Carrack has the larger fuel tanks and everything. But I'm saying at some point the Carrack will have to refuel, and this one won't. And that was my biggest point.
I think
I can go further out and refuel.
I actually think you've got it backwards. I think the Carrack can go further, but this can go for longer.
Longer. Okay. Yes.
Because while this can refine quantanium for itself, it can't refine the hydrogen for itself, based on what they've said.
Yeah.
So So
but because of the hangar,
and ironically, because it's a planetary explorer, not a in-space explorer, its weakness is the thing it actually needs. It needs the hydrogen, not the quantanium.
And that's I'm glad you mentioned that, because the hangar is the reason why I said that, because the hangar turns out can fit a Vulcan in it, which can refuel.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, if I need to go further, then I put a Vulcan in that hangar, and now all of a sudden, I'm out there.
Well, you can do the prospector too. So if you had a prospector and an
Right.
expanse with this thing, you could just have them come along and refine it for it, and you know. So again, we know why the hangar's there. It's so it can be resupplied and it doesn't have to go home. That's its whole reason for being. Is you just have you can have one member of your crew, and all they're doing, their full-time job is just flying ships backwards and forwards to this. And it's the same thing with a lot of the bigger cargo ships. You see that they're designed to not go home, but essentially be like out and be resupplied, and it's on everything. The Orion, the Carrack, the Banner Merchantman is probably the one that travels a lot, so it's probably a bit different. But even it has services like that, where the Carrack is designed to repair itself, maintain itself, repair the crew with a medical. Again, you look at the Polaris; it's got medical, but it doesn't have repair because it's more likely going to be traveling in system. So when it does get damaged, then it repairs in system. You can see they've looked at what every ship needs and given it what it needs. It's really obvious.
And you see that long distance aspect in terms of the Carrack with its repair drones, as well as the repair shop, as well as the first aid. But that it's got a rover also enables it to do some planetary surveys. But you can see the main focus of it, just from all the stuff it's got, is deep space. Whereas the main focus is, I think, planetary. But it can still do the deep space. So there is that crossover with them.
It was like you and I said when we looked at this first Algared, it clearly looks like it's got some form of VTOL, though we can't quite work how it works. See how it's got this circular thing that's kind of... Well, it almost looks like this rotates somehow, but this one here also looks like it rotates, but why would it rotate down when there's this below it? So we're thinking somehow maybe this moves back or maybe this rotates as well, but clearly the very front one looks like a VTOL, as does this one, but we just haven't quite worked out how it works. And if you think about it, a ship this size going as a servo ship into atmosphere, it's gonna have to have VTOL. Like, it just has to. There's just no if, buts, or maybe. And you look at the Prospector and you go, it's got to be something akin to how the Prospector's ones work.
The thing that, when this came out, the thing that really got me excited was the fact that it looks very much like the cab of an Endeavour.
Yeah.
And from that, you could actually work out the size of the Endeavour because of the cockpit sizes.
Yeah. Ironically, also, there is a connection back to the Endeavour as well. Like you were saying, how the Carrack and the Odyssey are connected, as is the Endeavour's actually the first part of that chain with its telescope. It finds the stuff that the Carrack goes to. The Carrack goes into the system, surveys the entire system, and goes, Odyssey, you might want to check out this planet, and then the Odyssey goes in, and then it just filters down from that, because then the Prospector might go, there's a really, the Odyssey might go, there's a small sample over there, Prospector, too big for us to go grab, but you can go grab it, or the Mole, and it sends those off to do its thing. So everything with mining is going through this if they don't find it themselves. Believe it or not, that's where this is a resource finding ship that is huge. That affects like the only other one that would do that would be the Carrack, where it finds an asteroid field and tells the Orion. So exploring is a massive part of the actual overall resource gathering of this game, and I don't think people have caught on to that yet. And this is going to be a big part of all the land-based stuff in that regard.
And that's why one of the reasons we've always pushed for the Endeavour is that the telescope. Then and we've always done the telescope, Carrack, and Odyssey did it. It just, for us, it just seems to make ... join sense.
All right.
Makes sense. Anyway,
my baby, the Reclaimer. So I'm assuming this is somewhat similar to the Orion, as in you wanted salvage and kind of a cross between it and repair, I guess.
This was actually specifically for repair. So I'm thinking, okay, I go out, I'm building bases way out here. How do I get these materials that I'm going to be building all this other stuff with? Maybe I do want to build ships. Maybe I want to build parts and stuff. And it's looking like this RMC stuff that we get for this is going to be used for repair. So I can see using this specifically, not to go and sell the RMC, but to put it through a refinery and make it into whatever usable construction materials that I could need for my base building. But now I don't have to go purchase that from somewhere. I can go out, find a wrecked ship. Hopefully they talk, I mean, this is speculation, I guess, going into maybe I can take some RMC off of buildings or something, unless they talked about that and I missed it. But if I can take some of that off of buildings and stuff like that.
If you can reclaim a ship and a vehicle, why can't you reclaim a base? And I was literally going to talk about that when you talk about this next ship and your reasoning behind this. So we'll come back to that in a minute. Algared, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah. Well, even more than just reclaiming the resources like the materials used, you also can reclaim the components. So one of the things that this ship is supposed to have is a cutter. That is a small vehicle, self-contained spaceship that could go and help loot the ships and take all the components off. CIG years ago said when you're salvaging, you actually want to take the fuel off and the ammo off and the weapons off and components off before you salvage it, because if you munch it up, they go boom and you damage your ship. And so you'd actually go into the ships and search them. And they talked about, they were playing the aliens card, you know, going exploring the ship and finding something you don't really want to find. But it's that type of idea. So you can find components that might be slightly damaged. You bring them into this, you put them into your crucible or your repair ship, you fix them up, you chuck them into your abandoned merchantman and sell them, or you keep them for yourself as spare components and stuff. So big synergy with this ship. So
this is why I come to fix my fleet, because I didn't even think of that. That is awesome. Yes, yes.
All right, so tell us, because you told us earlier what your reasoning was behind this one, and then I'll tell you why you're getting rid of it and keeping the reclaimer. So, or why I recommend you get rid of it and keep the reclaimer.
So, people who watch my channel, they know I actually genuinely love the A2. It's a ship that I really, if there's any ship on this list that I just bought just because I like it, it's probably this one. It's between this one and the Perseus.
Nope, but that's not what you said. That's not what you said. Tell us why you specifically see the 6.
I know, I'm going there.
I'm going there. Go there then.
I'm going there. But I had to kind of talk myself into why I needed it. And while I was talking myself into it, I was like, wait a minute, this makes perfect sense. And then I saw the Seer the 6 video where he was like, if I build a base for somebody and they don't pay me, then I'm going to go and blow it up. And I was like, I love that idea. So that gives me a reason to own this ship, on top of the fact that I think it's really cool. You know, the fact that it can carry cargo, it can carry tanks, it has the size 5 weapons. That all that stuff was like icing on the cake, but really it was, I need to drop bombs on people.
I just think send the repo man in and reclaim it.
Algared's caught on to what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to say. Why would you destroy the building when you can just grab back all the resources and build another one?
You know, that's a great point. Because they didn't confirm whether we can do that yet. I would say at this point, it would be really weird if it isn't. Because we know that, like, they're literally ships on the ground. We've seen footage now of fuses going into buildings. We know they've got turrets on the ground. We know that there's going to be Titan suits with guns that are on vehicles that were on ships. Buildings having a turret and building having a gun is like the only thing we haven't seen. If we know that you saw it yourself, an inside turret on an assault vehicle, that means it's inside the ship, which is a room, which a building is a part of the room system. So that almost guarantees to me at some point we're gonna have turrets inside.
In terms of salvaging on the planet side, we know they're talking about it because they were talking about that with the headhunters and the citizens of prosperity for going in and doing missions and salvaging the scrap.
They were still ships though.
They were still ships, but we also know they've talked about buildings having doors, which when you destroy them remain wrecked until you repair them. And if you're repairing them, there's also scrap there. So
he's right. It's all there. It just depends on how they again, we know that base building and repair are linked, like with the 3D printing thing, and the way they've said a lot of the repair vehicles like the Assault and the Crucible can now build things as well. If you start to look at it that way, if repairing and building is so interlinked, therefore they're interlinked just like salvage is the reverse of repair. It's all interlinked. So why can't I go take and tear down someone else's building and turn it into a different ship?
I completely agree with you.
It's just so illogical.
Are they going to let you reclaim that? Because that's part of it too. There's going to be defenses. There's going to be, and it's not just to reclaim stuff that I've built. It's also, hey, you know, I need to clear this area out because maybe I want to take this over and stuff too.
Real simple.
But
you've got low security, medium security, and high security. Again, if you start doing it where there's high security, they'll turn up and try and stop you. But if there's low security, you can do what you want. The person themselves has to stop you.
The other thing that comes to mind is if you build the property, you own the property until they pay for it, until you transfer ownership.
Yeah.
So if they don't pay you for it, it's yours. You can reclaim it.
Again, if you do the whole...
That's just my thought process.
If you do the whole thing where you have the endeavor and you go out and with the carrack, and then you go down to the survey ship, you survey ship down, you find all the land plots, you build buildings on all the land plots, and then sell them individually, you own everything in the entire chain. So they
could solve that problem easily with escrow. I mean, if they just put everything in escrow, then I don't have to worry about that.
You got to look at the player rating system as well. Like if you try to get screwed over by someone, you'll just rate them down into the floor. People are not going to risk that shit because they know at the end of the day, if I'm not 5 stars or I'm 4.5 stars and someone's 5, they're going to take the 5. Because he's not going to burn me. It's just look at Uber drivers. If you don't,
I'd say look at eBay.
Anything that's got a rating system. Like you go on Amazon. Any of them have rating system, and as soon as it drops by a residual margin, people don't buy for them anymore.
Yep.
Right.
People get concerned about that 100% satisfaction thing. Certainly on eBay, you know, people get a negative, and they're like, "Oh, why'd you give me a negative?" You know.
Yeah.
Because they're really keen to keep that 100%, because if it drops too far, people go, I can't trust that guy. You know, and you're talking 5%, you know, 95%, I can't trust that guy.
I get that. But I give it to you guys. This is definitely the hardest ship for me to defend.
Justify. It's mainly the price, man. Again, if it was in line with the...
It is.
Like until recently, it's changed now, but one was 4 million, one was 4.5 million, and one was 5 million. I know they've changed, but even with the change, it's still not where it needs to be for a 750. Put it this way, the Polaris will come into the game. This is not... The Polaris will outprice this by a country mile. You watch, right? And that's my problem with this. This is literally the definition of those. It's the rule of cool ships, right? And it went into the game straight away, and it was functional, more functional than the C2 and the M2 because they were so reliant on cargo, and cargo is only just getting there now. So that's why that one was so priced so much higher. And it just, even when it came out, I remember the episode we did, Algared, with the big fail thing. You remember fail, right? Because it was just so bad. You know, so again, that's one I'd have an upgrade into something else, or melt it down and turn to something else. A CCU is totally fine to hold on to in case you change your mind, but at 750, you got it cheaper. How much did you get it for? If you don't mind sharing.
I got it for 400, 390.
So that there I can start to go, that's in line with the other Hercules. So that's actually pretty good. I can totally justify keeping it at $400. 100%.
Yeah. And again, it's, as you said, this is one of those 2 ships that it's your must-have. It's almost your must-have. I really like this ship.
Yeah.
I think you're crazy for liking that ship. But that's okay. That's you, and it's what makes Star Citizen such a lovely game in terms of.
Algared, he doesn't judge you for ever cracking UEC girls. Leave him alone. Stop picking on the poor man.
I'm saying it's a great thing to have diversity. You know, it's.
Yeah. So love what you love, man. And again, the fact that you got it so cheap, I can't even look at it sideways. If it was 750, you know, it'd be a very different discussion. So you've done the right thing, right? 600i, right?
This 600i Explorer, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
So my first thought was, why do you have this when you could get a carrack? And then I realized halfway through, as you realized, I was trying to speak in code to Algared, but he saw through what I was trying to say. He's got an Odyssey, so that's why he doesn't have a carrack. But again, this fulfills the role of a carrack. So for the money, I think you're better to upgrade this to a carrack. But tell us why you got it, and then Algared can speak, and I'll just shut the hell up.
And that's actually my escape plan for the 600i. So I thought, okay, maybe I might not need all of the capacity of a carrack because I have the Odyssey, but I might need some of it. And I think the 600i will be able to do some of what the carrack can do. Not obviously at that same level. And I'm hoping that I can save a little bit by having the 600i and then having that dual purpose of it, you know, not really I don't have the luxury variant, but it still can do like a little bit of luxury transport and stuff like that.
I'd say
and opening that up a little bit. And then also thinking like, maybe I might not need a Carrack, but because it's cheaper than the Carrack, I can always upgrade it to the Carrack if I need that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was thinking with the 600i.
So
I also genuinely like the 600i, and I love what they're going to do with the rework.
So what I'm hearing is you're getting more from this because it's got the luxury part as well.
Yes.
Different. Yeah, okay, I can see that. Yep. Algared?
I got to admit, I don't like the 600i. It's relying too much on the rework. But
That's true.
To make it look good. But when I look at the component, I was actually just double checking the price, and nowadays the Carrack is so much more than the 600i. But back in the day, it was significantly cheaper than the 600i.
Right.
Which meant the Carrack was just a much better ship because you got the
Pisces and Rover,
the Pisces and the Ursa Rover with it, which just added to it. Plus you got the drones. Plus you've got the you got the whole kit and caboodle package and the jump point mapping sensors. The one thing that I think that adds to the 600i Explorer module that we have at the moment is the fact that it's got 2 navigation seats, 2 seats for actually doing the mapping and scanning, and that's 2 sets of eyes doing the scanning rather than 1 set of eyes doing the scanning. And I think that lends itself into proving that it'll be a good exploration ship. But I don't think it's as good as the Carrack, and I think the new price that the Carrack has compared to the 600i Explorer states that. So I think the Carrack is 650. I think
it's 600 flat.
Yeah. Okay. I was getting confused because I've got the Australian pricing.
So just to help Algared, if you essentially take the G15, is the G15 in the Explorer variant? It is in the
G15 is the Explorer.
G12. My bad. Sorry. But if you take the G12 and the Ursa, they pretty much cancel each other out, so they're thrown out the window, so to speak, as in the price terms. So what you do is you take the price of the Pisces, which is $60, and you take that off the Carrack, that brings it down to $540. This is $475. Yeah, that's your price difference. So can you justify $65 if my math is correctly on that? And I would say for $65 you're getting so much more in the Carrack because of the repair features, the medical drones. And the drones, and the 4 cargo modules that are modular. And but again, you do have the servo ship. But the thing is, interestingly enough, the Carrack gives you a link in the chain that you don't have. As in it, you've got the Endeavour, the Carrack, the Odyssey, the base building. You see where I'm going with this? You can do the whole thing yourself if you've got that. You could technically do it with this, but nowhere near as efficiently as the Carrack can. And I think you've got to look at this. What am I going to get more out of? The thing that completes my work chain, as in the chain of exploring and base building and all that you want to do, the trading and all that, it's going to find you trading lanes. It'll find you transient jump points, wormholes. You get where I'm going with this, right? So it feeds into your trading, your science, and your base building far more than this does, right? So but you've thought about it because you're an extra strategy. That's what I like. So again, sit on it. Don't instantly turn it into a Carrack. Sit on it, see how the rework goes. You might find you want both for different reasons.
Here's something based on the Matrix. 600i, minimum crew 3, max crew 5. Carrack, min crew 4, max crew 6.
Yeah.
And yet, I think you get, as you were saying, I think you get so much more gameplay and option from the Carrack.
And the other way to look at this is maybe pick up a 400i if you want the luxury, or you know, maybe getting rid of the A2. That's what it becomes. Maybe it becomes an 890 jump. I don't know, but we'll talk about that in a minute because Algared's laughing now. He's got X scored Crazy Town. He's just recommended an 890 jump. But yeah, so I think the Crucible, we can probably skip this a little bit, can't we? Because we want to hear for you why you got it, but me and Algared kind of talked about it before, so I think we can skip that one from us. But why did you? Is this just repair? I'm assuming that's what it's for.
Yeah, so the same way I was talking about the reclaimer feeding into this, like I want to be able to repair things, but I don't want to have to go anywhere and purchase my materials. I also don't want to have to rely on an outside source to repair things when I'm out in deep space or whatever, you know, trying to get things done. So if something breaks on any of these other, you know, ships I have, I want to be able to fix everything myself. And I'm also interested in repair gameplay. I think when I think of medical, I think of this as like kind of like ship medical a little bit.
That's
and
exactly
so like
how
Algared
thinks of it. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I think of like this you know, I'm interested in medical gameplay. I'm also going to be interested in like how can I build a ship, because I think because now that they've announced that the construction ships might be able to build ships, or maybe they said they confirmed that it will be. I'm thinking, well, I'll need to know how all that stuff works, and what better way to learn than if I'm out repairing ships and learning, oh, this part goes to this. And this is also, and this actually connects with the 600i a little bit too. Remember I said I didn't know whether I'd get the super collider or the telescope. And that's why I think I thought I could keep the 600i, because I was like, if I get the telescope and then I have the Odyssey, and then I have the 400i, that might cover everything. But in case that doesn't, then I can upgrade that 600i to that Carrack, and then I'll be good to go. But this also connects to that super collider, because if I'm repairing ships, I can also bring out some supercharged parts, and I could say, hey, I have this sitting in my stores and it's like 25% better than the thing you have, so I could sell that to you, which feeds into my trading. So, you know, I'm trying to connect those things a little bit.
I'll give you another part of trading. All the talk that me and Algared do about this ship and its value and its potential value, it is at another level if you sit here and all of a sudden realize that if this is a ship construction vehicle, and scarily enough, you start there and think about it, this would be, if that's base building, this is ship construction.
And it's still at its original price of $350.
It's not
so anyone,
and I got it for way cheaper than that.
Yeah, what is it? What is it? $950 for the base building Pioneer, or $980 or something? It's like
it's I think it's $850.
Oh, that's our price
with credits.
Yeah, that's our price. Sorry, that's Australian price. Yeah, so it is $850. Yeah, but it's like $980 once you currency convert.
Yeah, I got you.
If you know, if anyone watching the show thinking, oh, maybe I should get a cap.
There's the cheap man's Pioneer. Yeah, and go into shipbuilding instead of base building.
You get this because it's still at its original concept price,
and you only need that $10 CCU to lock it in too.
And then you can get it for significantly less than your original concept.
If they at CitizenCon, if they announce that this can build ships, the price will be going up. I just tell you that right now.
Yeah.
So,
guaranteed the price will go up.
Yeah.
Well, we knew the price was going to go up just with the size increase. It's going to have to go.
Yeah, but that, and we know that at some was it 12 months ago it was on the roadmap, Algared? So we'll see.
Yeah.
Right, Genesis Starliner, cargo for people. I'm assuming.
Yeah. So, I, you know, as a person who's gonna be doing construction projects here and construction projects here, and then I'm gonna do mining over here and salvage over here and repair over here, I was like, I need a way to transport all these people, especially if I'm hiring people, you know, and maybe this is further down the line, but if I need all this crew for everything that I'm going to be doing, whether they're NPCs or whatever, I need people to man, like if I build an outpost, well, I need to fill that outpost with people who are going to work the outpost, so on and so forth. So
I've got to stop you. I just got the funniest visual of you, and I thought of Fifth Element, then I went to Chris Rock, and then I went and just saw you as Chris Rock going, "Welcome to Boston Paradise."
I love that scene. That's actually one of my favorite scenes. A lot of people found Chris Rock annoying in that movie. I thought he was hilarious.
No, he was awesome. Yeah. But I just saw you essentially building tourist locations and bringing people out to welcome to Boston Paradise and blah, blah, blah. Like, and it all makes sense. It really does. Like, and to me, I think this is where luxury will start, believe it or not. Tourism will start with the regular people, and then it'll spin off into the luxury and the business and all that. But the people that go places first are usually, you know, the normal folk, so to speak. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I think like the Genesis Starliner, if I was going to go into luxury, this is where I'd be going first. I wouldn't. Luxury to me just seems to be one person or the business people, and I don't see fun in VIP or business people. But looking after the regular, you got more people to look after too. So there's more personality. You know, obviously you can have different people to deal with. But what if the entire experience of the solo VIP is it's annoying? It's an annoying rapper or whatever he is, you know, or there's just some rich prick that, and you know there's going to be at least one of those, right? That's just super annoying and demanding, and yeah, I just don't want to deal with that. And if there's one on here, they kick him off the flight. It's totally fine. You just kick him off,
right.
You know, so
and I actually went. Go ahead.
Go on. No, go on.
I was gonna say they when they originally talked about this, when they were doing the build out video for it, I can't remember what those were called. I think it was Shipshape. But they were building this out, and they also talked about a variant of this
swagger variant.
And I remember being like, I don't know what that variant's gonna be, but if it can still carry a ton of people and have some extra thing, then I would be like super into that as well.
Well, you can probably
if you go back and have a look at the A1 and the Hercules line, we actually think that's some of the stuff that has been stripped off this and turned into other ships, because there were Starlifters, as well as EMP, you know, E-warfare type ships, and Galaxy One for the
they literally
showed a whole.
They literally showed like tanks and stuff in a carry-all version of this, and that's 100% the Hercules now.
Yeah,
you know, and the Liberator and stuff like that. So we've noticed that with a lot of older manufacturers or just older ships in general, they had all these cool ideas and they did multiple things, and as they've got more money, they've kind of stripped them away to make individual ships than you know. It's almost like the move that we saw, less modular ships and more
variants,
individual variants or salt, you know, because they've got more money and more time now, so they've just split it all out. Makes a better game in a whole though as well, because you've got more game to play, more things to earn. So yeah,
right.
All right. The Connie
Phoenix.
Is that a Phoenix or is it a Fortuna? That's
Phoenix. The Phoenix Emerald. So, this is actually going to explain 3 of the smaller things that I have. So I bought this in a pack. It was the only way to get this skin. I wanted a Connie, but I couldn't really justify having a Connie with all the other ships I have unless I got the Phoenix. And the Phoenix, because I thought the Phoenix to me would add just the VIP thing specifically. And also I thought it would be a really cool like living space. Like if I'm going out and I want to actually, you know, just look around, I just want to, you know, explore myself and have a nice place to live in while I'm doing that. And also when I bring people to the game, I talked about this earlier about another ship, but when I bring people to the game and I'm like, let me show you Star Citizen, like this is the ship I want to transport them on. And I want to say they are my VIPs in a sense, where the people I'm bringing to the game, I put them on this ship and I show them, look, we got a bar over here, there's a hot tub over here, or a piano, whatever they're going to put in it. And then there's windows so they can look out the windows. Obviously they can do, you know, the whole, you know, F4 thing, or the, you know, look outside the ship themselves. But it's that, and it's also like my apartment in the sky thing. Go ahead.
You said you thought this at the start, and my instant response was, do you still think that? Where you said, I thought this would be my luxury, blah, blah, blah. Because this hasn't panned out the way it was meant to have.
Yeah, well, I think I'll still be able to use it for VIPs. It comes with the links, right? But another thing I wanted out of this was I wanted a P-72. I love that little ship. I love, you know, it's the fastest ship in the game, if I'm not mistaken.
So your Ursa Rover and Merlin are tied to this. They're all in one, are they?
The Emerald.
I think the links. Yeah, the links comes with it. Yeah.
Oh, it's an Archimedes Emerald then, is it?
Yeah, Archimedes. Yeah. Archimedes Emerald, and then the links. Yeah.
Okay.
The Ursa Rover was in the pack.
Okay.
So I bought this in a pack, and then that came in the pack with it.
So the pack had the Ursa Rover, something else.
So let me put this to Old Man Hurston then. Algared, would you say this or a 600i?
Well, and this is where I actually think that 600i was Origin saying to RSI, this is how you build a medium luxury ship. The 600i is Origin's answer to this.
Hold my beer. Yeah.
But based on what you were saying and everything you were saying, I think if you're really after that ship to show everything that you want to do with the bar and the spa and the everything else, the 890 jump's actually what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's got the bar, it's got the restaurant, it's got the boardroom, it's got 5 rooms, it's got the massive viewing port, it's got the basketball hoop, it's got the hangar, it's got the cargo bay, it's got a first aid room, it's got got a massive kitchen.
Yeah, I might not go that far. I did say that earlier, but my point still stands. I think this is either a 600 or an 890 jump contender. You got to change that to, based on what you just said, and knowing that what you said about the 600i before. This is dead. Yeah. Even if you keep the 600i, this is deid. Because there's just no reason to have it other than the 2 little ships that you mentioned that are really easily earned in game. Archimedes is worth what? $20-$30 and an Ursa, and it's just a skin. It'll be behind a rep grind wall. You'll get it. Just go get it in game.
I wasn't thinking 890 jump until you just said everything you wanted this ship to be.
Yeah.
When you said everything you wanted the ship to be, where you could say, "Oh, here's a bar, here's a window," man, you're going cheap.
Yeah.
When you, if that's what you're wanting your VIPs to see, you get to dump them in an 890 jump, which is 10 times the size and looks awesome and has everything. But when CIG first talked about this ship, they talked about it as being, like back in the day, the most expensive ships, the luxury ships, were seen as a combat variant, the super awesome version. That's what this ship was for the Connie. They described it as James Bond, the armoured luxury Bentley. That was the type of language they were talking about with it. And it hasn't panned out. It still doesn't have its point defense turret. It still doesn't have, so much of it just isn't there. I love the Connie. I really do love the Connie, but the P70, the Phoenix just gets me.
That was part of it. I genuinely wanted to own a Connie. So that I tried to start by saying that. I don't know if I threw that in there, but I genuinely wanted to own a Connie. So that was part of the decision to get that. I was trying to figure out which Connie I wanted.
Can we talk about this in just a little bit, because it's going to come back around again?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. Tell us about the Raelian. It's pretty obvious that this is in the trading league. You wanted more smuggling vein, I'm assuming.
Yes. So I wanted to use this. I thought the uniqueness of the fact that the cargo is covered but not completely covered, so you can't steal it, but it's also like, well, if you are hiding something, you're smuggling something, which one is it in? You got 50 of these things that you have to check before you figure out which one it is. And I don't know how the shielding and all that is going to work, but I mostly also got it for the blockade running. I have a feeling this thing is going to be pretty fast for its size. And I also think it's one of, if not the best designed ship. I tend to like unique designs, and this is, I just love the design of it from the top down. Like, there's nothing, I have no notes.
I've got nothing to add to that either.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I've even got a CCU, and I'm thinking of going to it for one of my ships.
And it's like my medium cargo ship. It carries like 300 SCU. It's for when I don't want to take out this gigantic ironclad or something like that, and I want I gotta get some stuff somewhere, but I need to get it there super fast, or it's just not that big of a cargo load.
Right. So going back to your Connie, where you talked about you couldn't justify a normal Connie, it's the same thing as this. It's a daily driver, right? So you can justify a daily driver. Now, this is where I'd say that you either need to pick this or the Connie. Do you want one that's more up-gunned but less cargo? Or do you want the Chris Roberts ship that's the middle of the road that's probably going to be the most polished ship in the entire game? And that's what you got to ask yourself. So what I'd be doing is losing the Phoenix, and I'd be having a CCU from this to the Connie and sitting on it, and then deciding what you want to do.
And I know you part of the reason you got your Phoenix in the Emerald is you like that Emerald skin. That was one of the things you actually
let me just press this button. It's literally his background. If he moves his head to move your head one side, you can see that. Move your head, Billing. Move your head.
Oh,
there. So he's got the Phoenix.
He's literally in a Phoenix. So I get that you really like the Phoenix. and I think X is right. You've either got to choose like this. The Corsair was designed as an explorer to compete with the Aquila and the 600i.
Well, let me talk about why I have the Corsair. Corsair,
and I'll let you do that.
Corsair is a placeholder. The Corsair is not necessarily going to end up in my final fleet. I had a smaller ship that I decided I didn't want. I can't remember what it was. And then I just kept going up because I'm like trying to find a sweet spot to end this at.
Yep.
And the Corsair was just a natural stopping point. Yep. The Corsair is one of the few ships in this entire thing where it can go at any moment. Right now it's great to use. I can fit a Nursa in the back of it and just go out and do some stuff. And you know, it opens up a lot of possibilities. But it's the one ship I have where I don't need it. I don't particularly like the interior of it. I'm not a huge fan of Drake ships, weirdly enough. Even though I love the utility of the Drake manufacturer and that they make so many different things, but I'm not a huge fan of Drake ships and their interiors. So it's one of the few ships that I have that is just, I need to find the stopping point for it. And I honestly think it'll end up being a Valkyrie or a Redeemer when it's all said and done. But I'm waiting to see if
that's the ship I was going to recommend from way back when you were talking about the Polaris. And now you've said that, it's the same thing I did with my own fleet. I had a Redeemer and I had a Connie, and when I got the Corsair, I realized I didn't need it because I had the two ships either side of it, and it just became superfluous. I really like it, and there's a lot of things it does well. It's just that it's the middle ground between the Redeemer and the Corsair, and I didn't need it because I had the ones on either side of it. And I think the same thing will happen to you. A Connie Andromeda and a Redeemer. Because the Redeemer is the step down from your Perseus. So you've got your 3-chord system. Every single ship punches up. So you've got a ship there for essentially 4 people, 6 people, 8 people. And you just take the combat ship out that you need, right? And not only that, the Connie itself is also listed as a gunship, as is this. As is the Redeemer, right? So they've all got the gunship tag, but obviously Algared will tell you it leans just slightly more to the cargo side, slightly more to the vehicle side, slightly less guns. But again, if you've got the Redeemer and you've got that, you don't need both. You don't need the middle ground. It gets hurdled.
When you look at this compared to, say, the Andromeda, it's got slightly more weapons, but the Andromeda's got the P52.
Yeah.
And they kind of balance out at that point. Same with the P72. To the Phoenix, and if you get an Andromeda, because the P72 and 52 both fit into that slot, you could actually put a P72 into your constellation.
The missiles as well, Algared. The about the Connie's got a shit ton of missiles or some shit.
Oh yeah, well the Connie Andromeda's got I think 52 size 2s, and then it's got all size 1s and then a whole pile of size 2s.
This has got bigger missiles, but less of them.
Yeah. And that's part of, I'm glad you were talking about the Andromeda a little bit. And that was kind of my thought process with the Phoenix, is like I'm trying to cheat a little bit and say, oh well, I got the Phoenix, so I don't really need the Andromeda. But I get what you're saying, like the Andromeda does have like a few different things.
If the Phoenix had stuff that it was originally said to have.
Yeah.
So it was supposed to have more size 2 missiles than an Andromeda. It's got no size 2 missiles. Yeah. They shrunk the arms, they gave it size 1s.
Yeah.
It's supposed to have a 3rd point defense turret. It doesn't have the point defense turret yet. I can't even see where they're going to put the point defense turret.
Yeah. There's a lot of things they had to cover. I'm just really wary of time, because we haven't even got through all the ships yet, and
we're going for ages.
We're almost about here at an hour and a half. This is officially the longest FMF we've ever done, and I reckon it's about to be the longest episode we've ever done. Right? So I want to move along a bit, and I know I'm
down the list. Has probably been the worst thing
we're down. We are to the last ship that I actually want to talk about, which is the Apollo. But you've kind of gone over medical already. But can you tell me why you've got this over the other 2 medical ships that you have? The Endeavor and the Galaxy.
So I know for a fact I'm going to want to do medical. It's just to try to figure out which level I'm going to want to do. So the Galaxy is like, I might do medical in this ship, but I'm pretty certain it's going to be used for something else. Whereas this one is like that I know I'm going to do medical. What medical level do I want to be at?
So
I know I'm not gonna,
dedicated.
Yes.
Yep.
Dedicated. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. All right. So everything else, me and Algared are pretty much going to maybe the Terrapin is the only other one because that obviously works in your Polaris. It'll also dovetail with your Odyssey and things like that. So I can totally see that staying.
Yeah,
But everything...
I can explain all those really quick too. Those are the Firebird was I do think I'm gonna want to do like stealth missions. That's just an interesting little tidbit of gameplay that I thought was interesting. It's one of the stealthiest ships in the game. It has missiles, so I can shoot from far away, so I don't really have to get into a dogfight with people. The F8C is from hitting 10,000. The F7A is because I wanted the unique ship. The Terrapin is actually a recent purchase because of the ship showdown, and I was trying to find a purpose for that. The Nova is upgraded from a Cyclone MT because I got that in the pack with the Phoenix. I think that's the P72 that I got with the Phoenix.
I think wouldn't that be an Archimedes?
It's an Emerald. It's an Archimedes.
For Archimedes.
P72.
P72.
Archimedes is P72.
Yeah. All right.
The MPUV tractor is that's a token, but I'm considering. I don't know whether I'll keep it or not, but I figure if I don't have a tractor beam in the Ironclad Assault, I can take that with me.
The top one with the links.
The Ursa Fortuna came in the pack.
Oh, no, that's the pack, isn't it? Sorry.
Yeah. And then the Medevac, that is, I genuinely love that ship. I bought it, but it can always just be a token. The Nox I got for referrals, and the Rock token, and then the PTV referrals.
And you know what me and Algared are going to say about that? They're all earning game. Every single one of those are earning game from the Saber down. And
some of them, like you get if you get a Connie Andromeda, any Connie, I think a Connie Andromeda, actually Connie Aquila is I think it's probably the better Connie. If you're not necessarily after all the missiles, because you get the rover as well as the P52. Phoenix, you get a Lynx and the P72, but you lose so much with a weapon loadout and half a cargo. Andromeda's the middle of the road one, but it's only got the P52.
No Ursa.
Well, it's got the most versatility. That's why it's... And you want versatility in daily driver. I still have the Andromeda. I was waiting for ages when the Lynx came out. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to buy that. I had the money for the upgrade and everything, and I just didn't buy it. And I kind of wish I'd brought one and put it into buyback now because they're worth a shit ton. But because you can't get the upgrades for them anymore. But I never did because it just didn't speak to me. I went, this is like it's not what RSI is, and we've never seen another luxury ship from them. I think half of that is the reason. But to summarize everything here in cutting all these, so to speak, there's a reason for this, because this is one thing I've noticed is you have taken almost everything we've said on board. You have logically answered everything you've said, but the one thing I've noticed is everything you earn here besides the Pioneer is heavily discounted, right? Am I correct in that?
Yes.
It's all heavily discounted.
Yes.
And that Pioneer is your favorite ship. It pushed you to buy it because it was your favorite. But I also think the thing you're missing is the earn down economy. And I think when you said that you need a Kraken privateer and you ruled it out, combining all those ships that are there, I don't know the exact savings, but that's pretty damn close to a Kraken privateer. I'd be willing to bet money on it. That's what you need to be aiming for. Get rid of that, the ships that you don't need, whatever they are. And I know we went through a few of them there, and it's been one of the longest episodes we've ever done. But you get my point, right? Kraken Privateer is just screaming to me because the fact that you can use a Kraken for combat, the versatility of moving smaller ships through it, just like you can on the Odyssey and the Pioneer, it goes into that combat vein as well. Or you turn it into a privateer, and it just feeds into it dovetails with your base build. You park that above the planet. where
Hit
you're
your mobile
base
station.
building, they deliver all the
Yeah.
shit to you and you just deliver it down to yourself. Not only that, you can deliver to other people. You can have the Banu go down and take shit to them if they don't want to come up. So it's like the dovetailing of the Galaxy and the Pioneer and all that all over again. You're doing joint operations together. And the fact that you've then got a massive capital ship, there's nothing in the game that you can't earn towards because you just go sideways into an Idris or a Javelin. The Javelin would be the only one you'd have to ever earn up to.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Algared went to say something. Sorry.
Yeah, look, and I'm not really a Drake head. I love the steel, but I think the Kraken Privateer really does answer so much of this. You set it above a planet where you're wanting to build a base. It automatically becomes your space station for supplies. You use your Nautilus to put some mines around it to give extra defenses. Yep. So you've got your space station defenses set up.
Yep.
It gets too hot, you can move it because it's the mobile space station.
I just thought of another one, Algared.
Literally how they've talked about it.
The Odyssey down there looking for places to build the land. That thing could literally go in with a Carrack and then set up on a planet and just be there the entire time. That could literally be your entire base that you operate out of. If you think about it, over time, you could be literally the pioneer that moves in and starts out that whole system, and you could build the whole thing out. You could discover the wormhole, build it all out, and then sell it all off and just literally be a billionaire ninja. I'm not even joking when I say that.
Yeah, you got him where it hurts, though.
And then you can take people there through the wormhole in your Genesis Starliner that don't know how to get there. All right, everyone's going to put on their blindfolds so they don't know where we're going. But we're going to a mystery location. You could do that. I'm just like if you had the information, you've got it all there, all the internet connected pieces. But that's where I'd be taking all these smaller ships and ships that are possibly double ups and stuff like that. Because if you're going to melt things off or change things around, I think you one of the things I would do so differently to what I've done with my fleet now is I would have saved and just gone for something straight at the top, and I probably wouldn't have got anything else. Like I'm literally at that point now, but you got to remember, me and Algared and others have been here for 10 plus years. We didn't think it was going to be that long. We thought it was going to be 3, maybe 5 years, and it's been a mega amount of time, and so we've just accumulated
over time
and accumulated
buying stuff.
But if I came into the game today and I want to set myself, I'd just buy a Kraken and I'd be done. I wouldn't get anything else. Maybe an everyday driver, right? And that would allow me to also resupply the Kraken. But then I could take that Kraken privateer and start trading and just fold out from there like crazy. I'd go to a Banner Merchantman so I can trade more. And now I want to do base building, so I get a Pioneer. And you just see rapidly how you fold out from that. But you can't take this little piddly thing and dial it up to 11 on a Pioneer. Yeah. You just can't.
Right.
And I hear people saying, but you've only got one ship and the Kraken's not out yet. What would you fly? And that's where you go to the Star Citizen Alona Matrix. Because that actually lists the ships that aren't out and the ships you get in place of them. And so let's just open it up and have a look. The Kraken has as its loaner.
I've got to learn how to spell loaner.
I'm actually liking what you all are saying about the Kraken too. I think I had this aversion because when the Idris came out, I got on an Idris, I played on an Idris, and I just thought this is too much to manage, and I already have all these gigantic ships.
So just so you know, the Kraken has as loaner ships the Hammerhead, the Caterpillar, the Hercules C2, and a Buccaneer.
Yeah.
So that becomes quite a few ships that you can actually use while you're waiting.
So what does that cover now? Combat in the Buccaneer, Caterpillar's got cargo, the Hercules has got cargo, and the Hammerhead's combat. So you've got everything covered as loaners. And I have no doubt, Algared, you can back me up on this if you disagree, the Ironclad drops. They swap that out and put the Ironclad in because it's Drake.
Yep.
They drop it. They drop in the Drake Corvette. If that comes before the Kraken, that'll go in there too.
And I would expect that because at the moment, the loaner for the Ironclad and the Ironclad Assault is the Caterpillar.
Would you also expect, Algared, the Hammerhead would switch to the Polaris?
Given the price, I would hope so, yeah.
Yeah.
So you tend to try to put ships at rough value to what it is that does what
but
it can
they tend to go past that, especially for the much bigger ones, because you spent so much money and you're just sitting on it for 6 years. That thing's been sitting there, right? And again, even if you tally up those ships, it doesn't get to the privateer cost. It gets past the Kraken, but not past the privateer. So
the classic example in that list is, I think, the Endeavour.
Yep.
If you look at the ships for the Endeavour and the two ships, I think it's the
Starfarer and Cutlass Red.
Starfarer and Cutlass Red, and you look up the value of those two ships, and those two ships in themselves are more than the purchase price of the Endeavour.
The Starfarer is only $50 less than the Crucible, and you're getting $135 in the Cutlass Red. So, yeah. But so can you see why I'm recommending the Kraken Privateer? I think Algared's kind of with me on that. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, I may not be a Drake fanboy, but I think the Kraken Privateer, the fact that it's a mobile space station. If you're looking at base building, you don't necessarily want to have 50 million ships going down to the building site.
Yeah,
you only want, because it's more chance of explosions and other stuff.
And I don't think you've got to put any more money into this game, do you, Algared? Like I would literally cannibalize one of those Endeavors if you have to. I'm not even joking on that.
Oh yeah, no more. No,
but you don't need to put any more money in. But I'd be looking at ones of this that are double ups, right? And I can see a reason for keeping them. But I would start at the bottom and literally kind of like chew up. And I'm talking price here, right? Because obviously earning down, but also things like and I'm not going to tell you which ones to choose because that's up to you. But say the A2, like when they feel like they're worse value, that's where you think about them. But you've also got to look at the money you saved on it, and we didn't go through that with you today. We only went through some of them. So this is I now know, having sat here with you and you explained every single one of these, that you put a lot of deep thought into that. I don't need to, like, if you come back and you got a question, just come back to me and Algared and we'll talk to you. But I have supreme confidence that you are going to work out perfectly for yourself. Obviously, there's people out there that help you to which ones of these you need to chop, if you're going to chop any, to get to a Kraken Privateer. But I honestly think having the bigger ship and earning down, that mentality, you're going to get all these back in a month once the game starts. Easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
I can't disagree with that logic, X. It's the way you describe the things you want to do in the ships. Some of the things you've said made me go, huh? Because they didn't seem to fit with what you originally said. But as you explained, the combat things, but other ships, the only one that really, one of the ones that only really flared up for me was really the Ironclad, just because of its price.
Yep.
And if you got that at a massive discount, then it kind of balances out. But
I think the other thing is, if it was just an Ironclad, it would be similar to other cargo ships. And I think it differentiates it enough. I think the only, like when I look at the ones you've got there, like the Corsair, the 600i, and the Phoenix, I can see the three replacements there. Ironically, you could almost keep the 600i because of things you've explained, and take the Aquila. Not the Aquila, sorry. The what is the price of the Phoenix pack, Algared?
Phoenix pack. I'd have to Google that.
But
up.
Maybe that becomes an Ironclad, right?
It was 450, I think, for the pack.
Okay, it's past then. But or maybe the Corsair does. But like, I can see where you can go with the ships that are missing. You've got your Connie Andromeda, you've got your Kraken Privateer, and you've got another Ironclad, which gives you, because that's sorry, not the Ironclad, the Caterpillar, not the Ironclad, the Caterpillar, because an Ironclad just gives you another cargo ship. Right, but the Caterpillar gives you the models of that galaxy. So I think that's the three upgrades / replacements: Caterpillar, Kraken Privateer, and shit, I've blanked again. God damn it. The Constellation Andromeda. They're the three that I would kind of upgrade into from what you've got.
And if you were doing that, and you were getting rid of the ones that are equal, you're actually saving money, because the Andromeda's cheaper than the Phoenix, the Caterpillar's cheaper than the and so that saving becomes the deposit, if you like, towards towards whatever big ship you decide to go for, whether it's a Kraken, whether it's an Idris, whether it's a.
I'd probably say that's the priority. Get the Kraken Privateer because of the earned down economics, and if you can't if you don't have those 3 left over, so to speak, to upgrade, they just get chopped and become, because again, the ships we are talking about are smaller. You've always got to prioritize that bigger ship. And you've kind of, the only one that I think you've done that without any saving is the Pioneer. And that's the problem. When you get to these bigger ships like the Idris and the Kraken and the Javelin, there's no way of dodging that massive price tag. It's just impossible. And that's what I noticed. I was just like, he has only brought shit that he can save money on, besides the Pioneer, which was his favorite. But what I'm saying is, it might not be your favorite, but how much of a necessity it is when you've essentially bought an entire fleet for an entire org right here. Where is your org level ships? And you've only really got the Orion and the Privateer and a little bit in the Band of Merchantmen. I'd say it's probably a little bit small for that, and a little bit probably in the Endeavor and Polaris as well. Yeah. So you just don't have that, like you've got a mothership for 8 in the Polaris, but you don't have it for an entire org in a Kraken. And I think that's the only thing I can really not see that you have.
And I look at it with big ships in kind of the earn up thinking as well. Like, yes, the purchase of those ships now is expensive.
Yeah.
But the earn up cost is going to be exorbitantly more expensive. I can remember hearing Chris in 10 for Chairman talk about, Auroras are like a sedan, Connie's like something else, and Idris is like
you're talking about that multiplication of value thing we've talked to Billion, but you're saying it for the audience. I understand that. So at the time when I interviewed him, very similar thing to what Algared was saying. He said the Aurora will stay the same, a Connie will be about 5 times the value, and an Idris will be about 10 times the value. If you kind of like modernize that, it basically means is the number of people that are going to use the ship, that's roughly how much it's going to multiply by, because that's who's got to earn the ship. So if you're using a Javelin that's designed for 83 people, not saying that's its final number, but they would want 83 people to earn that and maintain that and run that. And so if it's $3,000 now, you can only imagine what the in-game value converted back into USD is. Is it 300,000? Like, you start to go to crazy places.
And that's really, I think, when you're looking at that, which big ships to get now, I think you've really got to, in a sense, look at it through that lens. Yeah. Do I want that ship? Do I actually want to own that ship in game?
Yeah.
Yes. What's the cost of it now? Based on that, I know ships in game are going to be exponentially more expensive than they are now. How much is it going to be? How much is the grind going to be for me to get to that ship?
Yeah.
Not only in cash, but also in rep.
Well, also add to that, Algared. Sorry to interrupt, but this is very on point for what you're saying. This is something that you and I hear all the time. What will I have to earn in game if I have a Kraken, if I have an Idris, I have a Javelin? People forget about the Pegasus and the Bengal. Like if we're talking literally a ship that's to grind for 83 people in the Javelin, and we're talking about the sheer amount of time, how long is it going to take to get to a Bengal?
And we know that things like the Bengal, which, my understanding is they're not things we can buy even in game, but we can find them and hold them and maintain them and keep them. And the EEU will probably want them back, and you'll have to fight for them or take them to, but it's just, I can't even fathom how much it would cost if I was trying to repair a Bengal up to that point.
They talk about, they talk about when you find a Bengal, it's generally empty, and you've got to find all the parts and fill it out and stuff like that. And the same thing for the Pegasus. And the Javelin was originally the same, wasn't it? It was just the hull, and it wasn't even going to be functional. You had to go in and they changed it as time went on, but originally.
The original idea of it was stripped of all its combat.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Close enough.
So it'd have guns, but there might be size 2s instead of size 5s, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But
just real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm glad I did this with you all, because I think I said this a little earlier, but I got on the Idris when it was out, and I think I kind of talked myself out of getting larger ships. Both wallet wise, but also I don't know if I want to run this large ship. But then I was like, well, I have larger ships. I have, the Band of Merchantmen, I have the Orion, and I'm like, well, if I'm gonna have to run it anyway, maybe that's all I want to run. So I found myself constantly talking myself out of getting a Kraken. And then I had said earlier, you know, I don't particularly like Drake ships, so I don't know if I want to spend the most amount of money I spent in the game on a Drake ship. But I was like, I feel like that's going to be the exception, right? Like
so 2 parts there. One of the things me and Algared always struggled with is we tend to look at ships way more on function than their look, and unfortunately, you just can't look at them on their look. If you wanted, like for example, if you want to repair ship, the Crucible, tough titties if it's Anvil and you don't like it. Like that's just how it is, right? And it's the same
if you
thing.
want an aircraft carrier,
that's it.
The Kraken's it.
That's it. There is no other, right?
There is no other.
And we've had, I remember episodes we've done of this where people wanted Aegis ones. Well, I'm not going to go to them and say make an Aegis ship. They've got one, and you can tell that there's only ever going to be one big capital ship from each manufacturer. That is it. And this probably means there's only ever going to be 9 mega capitals, and that's it, right? And they may add ones over time, and we might get 18 by 10 years down the line. But again, they will probably be intersected, like in between all the others. And then the second part is just real quick. The second part is it's very easy to talk yourself out of something. Do you know how you talk yourself into this, Kraken? You add up all these ships, and that'll convince you straight away. Because then you'll go, shit, I can quickly earn these with a Kraken, but I can't go the other way. And that's the thing. But like we have so many people talk people out of doing things. That's fine. You talk them out of it if you don't agree with it. But again, at the end of the day, we've seen bad actors too. We've seen org leaders that will only want their people in their org to have small fighters. Why? Because then when the game comes out, they can use their bigger ships to control them. Again, if you want to take control of your own game and you want to lead your own game, capital ship is the way to go, because people will come to you. You're forgetting all the people that are about to come in this game when it releases and goes out the door. Why would I go out in my Aurora when I can join my friend Billionaire Ninja and I can sit on his turret gun and make 10 times as much money and have 5 times much more fun? You get where I'm going with this. It's pretty obvious what's going to happen. You've got a fleet. Where the frick are your red shirts? I expect to see t-shirts. A Billionaire Ninja red shirt. That's what you need. Algared, sorry.
You're taking my usual idea for
I take yours, you take mine. It goes both ways. It goes both ways. Yeah.
But I see the same thing with it. Like for me, I talk myself into the Idris because I wanted to do Star Trekking, and to me, the Idris was the ship that enabled me to go far enough with enough resources to stay up forever and do 5 years in the verse searching. 5-year mission, and with enough NPCs to be the red shirts for the players when they died. It had first aid, first aid stuff and all the rest of it. So that was my reasoning. So I kind of went the other way, not necessarily knowing I'd have the people, but knowing I wanted to go do Star Trekking, and then the idea of the old agent smithing, friends being able to come and teleport to you. Whether that still ends up being a thing, I haven't heard it's not. So I kind of still hold hope for that, but.
Yeah,
all of those things.
We've talked about this too, Algared. Like, if you're an org, you're going to want multiple Krakens because you might have say you're a big enough org, you might move around, say 5 to 6 systems in an area, but you're going to need a Kraken base in each one, so to speak, not just a hometown. Because if you've got the main landing zone in that system where you go to get your supplies from, but where you guys operate, you will move as a group, right? And not only that it's not just one, the org, it's multiple sections of the orgs in multiple systems. And what happens if one Kraken comes down? They're going to run to the other one. You've got backups. Krakens are backups of other Krakens.
Yeah.
You can see, it's almost goes back to that web idea we were talking about with the Nautilus. It is all interconnected. And orgs are not just they're going to scale sideways as well as up. So I just don't think people are connecting as much dots as they need to connect when it comes to this stuff. This is now officially the longest episode we've ever done. It's clearly the most longest episode of Fix My Fleet we've ever done. And I don't want to hear any more complaints about we don't do enough Fix My Fleet, because this is officially the longest one we've ever done. But is there anything you want to kind of add to that, Ninja? I think we've kind of really detailed that out for you, and as you said, you were glad for doing it, but I think the other part is, do you want to tell people where they can find you on the interwebs?
So this was excellent. I think my self-talk, and you've talked about this before, when you're just in the room by yourself, your self-talk can kind of make you make decisions that don't quite make sense. And so I look to my comments a little bit on my YouTube channel and try to get some stuff from there, but it's not the same. So this has been like purifying in a way where it's like, I might go ahead and get myself that Kraken after all, you know.
He's been baptized into
yeah.
the faith. Good to see. Good to see.
Well, we've said a few times it's a little bit like a self-intervention, but we often just like for me and Algared, half the time is just listening to what you say and saying it back to you. Because and then the other part of that is just adding our knowledge of the ships and looking for overlaps and stuff like that. It has become almost obvious to me and Algared, right? But now that doesn't mean. But the other part of it that you've obviously seen today is the big part of this is you, right? That is the big difference between the general advice we give and you specifically. This is highly honed as you as an individual, and I can tell you've seen that from what you've said. So yeah.
Yep.
Algared, is there anything you kind of want to add to that?
No, not really. There's lots of meat in the episode for people to have a yarn it. Yeah. Tell us what you think. Are we leading him down the garden path? Are we going to mug him in the alley, or are we giving him a good oil, as I usually say? So
yeah. All right, I think that's everything. With that, then don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and thank you to everyone that left for Patreon in the credits at the end of the video. Thank you for joining us, Billing. It was a real joy having you again. I have to get you back for more of a speculatory episode again down the road. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was interesting to see other content creators, and it's also interesting for me and Algared to see someone that has followed our advice and their thought processes, because they still have things that we wouldn't have done. And even myself, like you saw, like when we talked about the assault, I just made assumptions, and then when he explained it out, I'm like, no, he's really thought about this, and it makes a lot of sense. He actually had things that I had not thought of, because again, this is the tailoring to him part. He is into base building, so he knows that more than I do. Where me and Algared are probably becoming really hyper generalists, aren't we, Algared? Just because we have to cover some of that shit. That's just the way it is. So yeah, so Billing, you're obviously a bit more tailored to the base building than ourselves. All right, then. Thanks for with that. Then he's been Billionaire Ninja. He's been Algared.
He's been Execute, and we're out of here. Take care.
See you, citizens. Say goodbye, Billing. Yeah.
Bye, Billing.
He does not sound like that.
Yeah, but you said say goodbye, Billing. So I said
goodbye, Billing.
This is where I can't have nice things.